some behavior strategies are quick fixes that get, immediate compliance. So yelling, shouting, serious threats, disproportionate punishments. I was working in another setting, and not a Jewish setting, around this time of year, and this one mother with her children kept coming in each week for a session, and anytime she wanted her kids to listen, she kept saying, if you don't do this, Christmas is canceled. Right? She kept saying over and over again, and the kids would cry. Right? If you don't put your jacket on right now, I'm canceling. No presents. Right? And it worked because the kids listened right away. But what do you think are some of the problems with that approach, that technique? What do you think would happen kind of in the long term, or like where would it fail?
She's probably not willing to follow through.
Yeah, great point. Right? Meaning, are you really going to follow through with that? Are you really going to cancel Christmas if the kids don't listen? So then what do you do if they test you? What else could go wrong?
They'll know that Christmas can't be canceled just because the mom says so.
Right. She loses some credibility, right, as a parent, because she says threats that she can't follow through on. And finally, like, even if she does do it, like, that'd be a pretty traumatic experience. The kids won't really kind of forget that too soon. And at what cost? You got them to listen at a time when you really needed them to, but you may have kind of harmed them in a serious way. So at what cost? Resentment, straining the relationship, killing the goose. So the reason why I think parents do this is because when you're stressed and when you're tired and you really need your kids to listen and you're trying to, get them into the next thing they need to do, and you ask them nicely, they didn't listen. So you pull out, the big guns, so to speak, the nuclear weapons, and you say the most craziest thing you can think of so that they'll just listen. And, most parents will tell me that they do that because they don't know what else to do. They don't know what else will work. They tried asking nicely, it didn't work, and they just need the kid to listen, so they went to that. So what I'm going to try to do for you today is give you other things that work, give you other techniques, other skills that you could try, things that you could say that may have a better effect. So these skills aren't, kind of magic formulas. They're not going to make your kids into robots and make them listen to you no matter what you do. But the goal here is just to get them more likely to listen while maintaining the relationship at the same time. Okay. So again, the most, common form of parenting that we engage in is really punishment, right? So we constantly make threats to kids to get them to listen. So they could work in the short term, but there's a lot of these other problems. So on the one hand, like we mentioned in the previous slide, if you constantly punish over and over again, you're going to risk resentment. The other problem is that it promotes covert behaviors, which means secretive behaviors. So if we think about what does everyone do on the road when all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of cars slowing down, right? And then you get up to an intersection on the highway, and what do you usually see over there? A cop car, right? A speed trap. So what happens? Everyone's speeding. Everyone's going over the speed limit, right? They're going 75 in a 60 zone. And then they see the cop, so they get scared. So then they slow down. So did you really change our behavior? Did you really kind of influence change? Or are we just scared of getting caught, right? The reason why people slow down is because they're scared of getting caught. And what happens right after you pass the cop car, right? Everyone just kind of speeds on their way. So as parents, we want to make sure not to do this as well, right? We want to make sure that we're not just using punishment so that they only listen while we're around. So we say, better not, use the TV or go on the internet while I'm not there. And then when you're not there, they're not scared of being punished, they have no reason to listen to you anymore. It's only effective if you could actually enforce it. And finally, and this is really important, especially when it comes to physical aggression, right? And we go corporal punishment, is really, really bad long-term effects of bad modeling, in that what the child basically learns is that if someone is bigger and stronger than you, then you have to listen to them because they could control you. So guess what happens when they get older and they're with someone who's younger than them, a younger sibling or a peer in school, right? Well, when they're not listening to me, when I'm not listening, that's what my mom or daddy does to me. So that's what I'm going to do when people aren't listening to me. So these are all the reasons why we want to try to avoid punishments, right? So we want to try and actually not even get to that situation in the first place where you have to punish. So we're going to talk about a lot today about how you use language, how you use skills that are more likely to get the kid to listen in the first place. So you don't even have to resort to punishing. There are effective ways to punish, but we're not going to do that today. That's a very sophisticated skill, which we do in our private sessions, but it's better to try to learn these things first. So we're going for true compliance. Compliance means kind of just listening. So we're not going to try and use force or strength, right? So if right now your kids are younger than you could get them to listen by just physically picking them up and putting them in the bath, or just grabbing the cell phone out of their hand. But that only works because you're bigger and stronger than that, right? What we really want to do is try as much as we can to get the kid to listen because we ask them to, right? What a concept. That just if you ask someone to do something, they'll listen without having to resort to being bigger and stronger. Because like I said, if you're only getting them to listen because you're bigger and stronger than them, so what do you do when your kid is bigger and stronger than you? And how do you get them to listen, which happens. Okay, so how do you achieve this? So these are all the problems we have with common parenting techniques. So how do you actually get your kids to listen?